Chapters 12 through 16 are an expanded covenant book like we saw in Exodus. There are many of the same kinds of laws, but Deuteronomy is longer, it is expanded, it deals with some additional issues. And it begins, "These are the statutes and ordinances that you must diligently observe in the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, has given you to occupy all the days that you live on the earth." There are many, many different themes, and in some ways it seems to kind of jump around from one topic to another. But some of the themes are worship, which it begins with, and this includes saying that there will be one place that the Lord will choose as a dwelling for his name. There are laws that deal with the responsibility of judges and also with a future king. There are passages that discuss the role of prophets. There are very strict prohibitions throughout regarding worship of other gods. There's a section on permitted foods, what one can and cannot eat. There is outlined the sabbatical year. This has to do with remission of debts every 7th year. There are instructions regarding tithing. Again, instructions regarding festivals, and here the descriptions are longer than in Exodus. There are instructions for Levites and priests, the setting up of cities of refuge. There are rules regarding warfare, laws regarding murder and theft. There are a number of laws regarding care of the poor, and various things having to do with honest economic dealings. The picture you see here is a modern depiction of a booth or tabernacle for what is called in English the Feast of Booths or the Feast of Tabernacles. It is an outdoor temporary dwelling. That whole section ends with, "Today the Lord has obtained your agreement to be his treasured people as he promised you, and to keep his commandments, for him to set you high above all nations that he has made, in praise and in fame and in honor, and for you to be a people holy to the Lord your God, as he promised." Then there is a passage having to do with the publication of all of this covenant, all of these laws. "You shall write on them all the words of this law when you have crossed over to enter the land that the Lord your God is giving you, a land flowing with milk and honey, as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, promised you. So when you have crossed over the Jordan, you shall set up these stones, about which I am commanding you today, on Mount Ebal, and you shall cover them with plaster. And you shall build an altar there to the Lord your God, an altar of stones, on which you have not used an iron tool." So basically, they are to set up some stones and cover them with plaster and then write on them these words that have been given to them. The picture here is of Mount Ebal. What's interesting is that the Samaritans, in their version of Deuteronomy, which is almost identical with the one we know, they have the setting up of the altar on Mount Gerizim, which is quite close. And that is one of the differences between the Samaritans and the Jews. Chapter 28 contains a number of blessings and curses. This is in addition from what we had in Exodus. And here are just some samples. If you will only obey the Lord your God by diligently observing all his commandments that I am commanding you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth. All these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you if you obey the Lord your God. So, for example, blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of your womb, the fruit of your ground, the fruit of your livestock, both the increase of your cattle and the issue of your flock. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. The curses are a reverse of this. But if you will not obey the Lord your God, by diligently observing all his commandments and decrees, which I am commanding you today, then all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Cursed shall be the fruit of your womb, the fruit of your ground, the increase of your cattle, and the issue of your flock. However, there are also ways in which those curses can be reversed. And so there is the possibility of forgiveness. In Deuteronomy 30, we see when all these things have happened to you, in other words, some of the calamities that fall on them because of their disobedience, the blessings and the curses that I have set before you, if you call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord your God has driven you, and return to the Lord your God, and you and your children obey him with all your heart and with all your soul, just as I am commanding you today, then the Lord your God will restore your fortunes and have compassion on you, gathering you again from all the peoples among whom the Lord your God has scattered you. Even if you are exiled to the ends of the world, from there the Lord your God will gather you, and from there he will bring you back. The Lord your God will bring you into the land that your ancestors possessed, and you will possess it. He will make you more prosperous and numerous than your ancestors. This covenant renewal has one more element, which we do not see in Exodus, and that is witnesses. We saw that in some of the other ancient Near Eastern covenants and treaties, there were many gods called to witness to the promise that is being made. Now, of course, in Deuteronomy, there is not going to be a call to the different gods. However, there is a call to heaven and earth to witness against you today, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Choose life, so that you and your descendants may live, loving the Lord your God, obeying him and holding fast to him. For that means life to you and length of days, so that you may live in the land that the Lord swore to give to your ancestors, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob.